Hello and welcome to Life Less Ordinary. Now this is going to be a less ordinary video because in case you haven't realised from the background, I am not at home. This video is not being shot at home. Dean and I are celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary, happy anniversary to us, by coming over to New Zealand for 2 whole weeks. So we've already spent almost a week here, but what I wanted to show you in particular was this particular place that we are visiting. This is called Seafield Cottage. So we're just outside of Napier. And this particular cottage is set on 5 acres. So most of the accommodation we've stayed at this time has been tiny houses on properties, so that we have a fabulous view, a fabulous outlook as we do here. But this particular property has its own orchard, lots of trees, because the owners also, as well as running this Airbnb, they also sell shrubbery, so cuttings of their trees to local florists. So there are a lot of amazing trees here. But what you will have noticed, hopefully you can see in the background, are these rolling hills. So it is just amazing, this whole area. In fact, pretty much all of New Zealand has these hills, and this particular area around Napier, Hastings, is known for its wineries and its orchards, so particularly apple orchards. And you may wonder, how on earth are they growing all these things on the hills that are like this? So what I'm going to show you, I'm going to take a walk down to show you how the owner here has planted their trees here, and how they're growing things in this environment. Now this is a coastal environment. If you look just there, that is the ocean. So it's a different climate to what I'm from in the Southern Highlands of New South Wales. So I'm in a 9B, so we do get frosts, whereas here they don't get frosts. They're coastal, so they're not getting that really cold bite from say May through to early October, which I would. But in speaking with the owner, Cheryl, they have made the most of the little microclimates that they're creating on the side of this slope. Now I'm going to say slope, but to me it's actually a hill. Trying to get back up again was a bit of a struggle for me. So let's go down and let's have a look. So I've just moved from the cottage there. As you can see, this is the kind of slope that we're talking about. Further down there you can see that it's not quite as slopey, but it is still a decent slope. I'm going to make my way down here and keep going. So I've just made my way down here, and you can see they've made excellent use of the slope coming down to a flatter part in having this pond here. And it is absolutely beautiful to hear the frogs at night time in particular. There's another flatter bit here. These ones here are magnolias, which they use cut off bits and pieces of it for the shrubbery. Over this side we have hydrangeas, and you might be able to just see a little bit there where it might be a little difficult. Just in here, that area has been chopped away at for foliage for people to buy. But the area that I'm particularly interested in is actually over the other side of this row of trees. This area is particularly windy. In fact, the whole of New Zealand we have found the couple of times we've been here is windy. And what we have noticed in speaking to people is and in actually driving past lots of properties, is a lot of windbreaks. What I've learned from that, in observing that, is there are ways to build windbreaks, and some of the trees that they have used on occasion have been interesting choices, in my opinion, but they work. So magnolias. We've been using at home, we have tea trees along one side, and then on the other side, not necessarily as a windbreak, but more as a screening hedge as well. We've just started some camellias. We've also got the photinias as well. But in seeing these magnolias, I'm actually considering continuing some screening with the magnolias at home. And I get the double bonus of having some foliage for greenery in flower arrangements. So my mind has been expanded in thinking about these things, in seeing some of the properties here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over there, just heading up the hill. You can see the pond in the background. This is the grove of magnolias that I'm walking past. And then heading over to this section, it's all in rows of fruit trees. They do have bees here as well. So it's a great little system going. So this here is, I'm assuming, a windbreak for this area down here. So as we come around, you will be able to see the rows here of trees that are all protected by this windbreak here on that side, and then on this side you have the pine trees, and then there's further trees along the front edge of the property that just create this little microclimate here. So all these rows here that are on a slope. Now this section here is not quite as steep a slope as where I was walking before, so I would say some of those slopes were 30 to 40 degrees. This might be about 20, but this is something, I'm showing you this because I've been trying to consider how we can make better use of our own property with the slope that comes out from the back door down the hill, because in the past I've been reluctant to do anything, thinking that I can't grow anything on a slope. But if you watch enough homesteading, gardening videos, YouTube, you will see that people are making use of this. And in fact, even having animals on a slope, our family watch Justin Rhodes. He's another great, he's an American YouTuber that we've been following since before COVID, and watching and learning so much stuff. But at one point he was talking about using slopes, the sloped land on his property, and then speaking to someone else who has who has cows, so large stock animals, on up to a 35 degree slope on their property. And I think that blew his mind, and in him talking about that, sort of we're also considering, like, if we had a property that had a slope like that, it doesn't mean that we can't have cattle, we can't have sheep. And, you know, we all know that goats like mountains. We've all read Heidi. But in visiting some of the places here and in driving around, because there are so many slopes and so many steep slopes, and driving past and thinking, there's a cow on that slope. I can actually see that working. So just thinking through how we can do what we want to do in the environment and in the place that we are in. So let's have a quick look at some of these trees. I brought my husband through here yesterday to kind of test him to see if he could tell what some of the plants were, some of the shrubs and some of the trees were, and he did really well actually. That's part of the benefit for him and for me in him editing these videos, is he learns a lot, whereas if I was to sit there and talk to him about it, his eyes would glaze over probably. Anyway, I do talk too much about these things because they are really, really important to me. Anyway, so here there's blueberries under nets, and I can see the reason for that is because these are in season now, and the way that they've done it is they've got chicken wire up to a certain point, and then they've actually netted over the top and tied it in certain places. So you could theoretically just cut some open, one of these cable ties open, and harvest from there. The chicken wire around the base is because of the rabbits, because we have seen a number of rabbits. So it's not just in Australia where we have that pest problem, it's here in New Zealand as well. So there are blueberries there. There's a whole long row of berries. Now looking at those, I'm thinking they may have been raspberries. I'm not 100% sure, but there's no fruit on them, so they would have already fruited. They might have been boysenberries or loganberries, which would have fruited in November. But they're doing it differently to how I'm doing it, and it's good to see how it's working for them. Then there are a whole heap of fruit trees. So we've got peaches, not 100% sure what this one, actually yes I am, this one's apple. Avocados, I would love to be able to grow avocados. Look at these are tiny ones. There's another two trees a couple of rows over, which I'll show you in a second, but it just I would love to be able to grow them. They don't like frost, but I may be able to find some that do. I'm pretty sure these are walnuts on this one. And then there's a whole heap of citrus along this, and I had some mandarins from this one yesterday. Absolutely delicious. Nothing like getting fruit off the tree. So there's some orange, oh no, they're a mandarin as well. This one's a mandarin as well. So these were absolutely delicious, these ones here. So sweet. I did notice some were a bit dry, and they do have a watering system. It looks like drip irrigation probably along each row here. So more citrus. Another citrus here. It's just, can you tell that I'm in heaven here? This is just amazing. Oh, just more fruit. I think these ones here, I've never actually seen this in real life, only on other people's channels. I think this is persimmon, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's just amazing. I'll go and try and find these other avocados, but you can see I'm going up the hill now, so there is a bit of a slope, but they're doing it. And like some of these are quite old, some of these trees, so they're not just 2 or 3 years old. Not down this tree. I think this row here, I think, is just a windbreak. Yes. So this one's another, I think this one's another nut variety, but because I'm not a nut eater, I'm not 100% sure what it is. Ooh. And I can feel confident walking around here. And I wouldn't do this in Australia because there are snakes in Australia. There's no snakes here. This one here. This one is a fig. And then there's a couple of feijoas. And here is one avocado. Now let me see trying to see where they were. So here's some avocados here. These are little ones. So there's some avocados. Here's the rest of the feijoas. And then on the end here is another much bigger avocado. Look at these. Absolutely amazing. So many avocados. So I'll just walk down a little bit so you can actually see, back up to see the slope behind me. Hopefully you can see just that slope as it continues up. And behind me here are the other trees that form the rest of the windbreak for this orchard, creating its own little microclimate there. So these are pittosporums, which are good as shrubbery in flower arrangements. And then there's a native, I feel like it's a protea, but I'm probably going to get that wrong. But another great row of trees that would be good in floral arrangements as shrubbery. So this quick video, hopefully this ends up being quick. This quick video was just to give you an example of how it's great to be observant and see how other people are doing things so that we can just reset our thinking on what we're doing on our own plot of land. Anyway, I'm going to go and help myself to another mandarin as I climb back up this hill to the little cottage that we're staying at. But thanks for joining us and Dean and I as we live our life less ordinary, special edition in New Zealand.